This will be the best laundry video you'll ever watch. I've been at Yale for 37 years, and this G all-in-one washer dryer is the coolest, most practical appliance I've seen in a long time. It's a washer and dryer in one unit, so you don't have to transfer your laundry. But it's full size, it's 4.8 cubic foot, and employs new heat pump technology with smart functionality and G's microband and ultra-fresh technologies. What will make this video interesting is you not only see the machine, but you'll also be able to listen to the guy who was the lead designer and one of the inventors. Welcome, Ken Rudolph.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate the opportunity to talk about the ultra-fast combo.
First question, all right? I want to ask a general question
Sure.
and just a short answer. We'll delve into this machine in detail, but this is a washer dryer all-in-one, okay, which have a checkered history as we've discussed, and it's a new full-size heat pump. Now, most of the heat pumps are only in 2.2 cubic foot. This is 4.8 cubic foot. So I could ask just one simple question. How can this possibly work?
Well, I'll give you the short answer. Airflow, right? So what we did was we married our ultra-fresh front-load washer with the heat pump, but it's the airflow that we have in this product that makes the whole system work.
Okay, as I said, we're going to get into this machine in detail. But I went over your background. I was hoping you were in marketing, and it would be easy. But you actually are qualified. Right? Grew up in New England and New Jersey and New York. You went to RPI.
Right.
Any three-letter schools good? RPI, WPI, MIT. Brilliant. You must have been good in math. Anyway, you worked in multiple G businesses, aerospace, plastics, and appliances, and are the inventor of the ultra-fresh vent system. So you must know a little bit about mold too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and quite honestly, as the front-load product manager, I would go out and research product and talk to consumers about what features they wanted, and they go, unless somebody solves that problem, I'm never switching back to front load. I tried it once, I'm in top load, and to actually have a solution, and I look at this today. We've been in the market since 2019. Very strong consumer feedback that the vent system is doing exactly what we wanted it to do.
And the microband, I thought that was really smart.
Yep.
So let's ask some basic questions. How long has G been working on this concept? And as a follow-up, how many prototypes did you develop and what were the biggest drawbacks? I imagine it must have been a few.
Sure. Yeah. So actually the development around heat pump technology started about 7 years ago. We were working with a world premier research laboratory, and we had a solution around using a heat pump in a dryer. And then we would go out and research it with consumers. And the challenge we saw was it didn't solve a real pain point for them, right? The pain point they wanted solved was no load transfer. So about 3 years ago, Steve, we took the heat pump dryer and we said, let's pair it with our ultra-fresh front load washer. And that's the product we have today. So, the EPA is excited that we have a heat pump system, but what we're telling them is this is the solution that will actually get heat pump in consumers' home. So that's really what went to it. To answer your question around prototypes, there's really two types of prototypes, right? There were the technical prototypes that the team's been working on, where we really needed to demonstrate we could wash and dry a full load of laundry. That's about like a 10-pound mix load in about 2 hours. It started not so great, but when they had the breakthrough with the airflow, after multiple prototypes, they were able to get the performance. The other side of the prototypes is the consumer research around usability of the control panel, the appearance of the unit. So I would say, there were a good many prototypes. We test often and refine the product so that when we're ready to launch June 1st, we got a product that really is consumer tested already.
It's really interesting, but you have a 110 volt machine. And for people that don't know that this machine can be put anywhere, it's ventless. So any place you got water and any place you got power, you can put in a new washer dryer. You can put it in your hall if you got water there, right? But how have you adapted a 110 in such a large machine? And why would you? I mean, wouldn't 220 be more of a logical kind of step?
No, that's a great question. So, your washer's typically 110. Your dryers are 240. And the reason they are is because you need a powerful heat source to dry the clothes. The reason why this uses 110 is the airflow is doing a good portion of the drying along with a lower temperature heat source. So we only need 110 volt to produce the heat from our compressor to dry it. We don't need 220. We don't need 2 electrical coils that you would have in a standard dryer. So what was really awesome was we started with the 110 and we got the performance we wanted. We really worked harder on the airflow, and we found we never needed to really go to the fallback position of 220. So that's what delivers a drying performance that's actually 50% more energy efficient than E-Star. And so we're in 110. And as you mentioned so well, it allows you to put this in a lot more places in your home as a result.
Yeah, you can put it anywhere.
Yep.
We've been blogging about heat pumps for about a year, but do you want to tell people how your heat pump works with the air exchangers and the compressor?
Sure. You know, really the washer system is just like our ultra fresh front load washer, but it's when it kicks into drying, that's where we use a little acronym: warm, wind, water, right? Those are the 3 steps. So the first thing we do is the heat pump sealed system actually starts with a compressor, like you have in a refrigerator, right? That will warm up the air. And then it takes that warm internal air. It doesn't steal air conditioned air from your home. It's all recirculating inside. So first you do is you warm up the air with the compressor. Then it goes through our patented high-speed fan that will actually jet the air in at like 2x the airspeed of a normal dryer. And you'll actually see as the clothes are tumbling, they're lifting up in the air, and that's extracting the moisture. And then that air, that moist air with lint, actually goes through this next phase. We have what's unique on this product, a 2-stage lint filter. So that will keep that air stream clean. And then we go into a heat exchanger. And that heat exchanger will actually condense that warm, moist air. It cools the air slightly. The moisture drops out, and we use the same drain pump as our washer. And it's not clogged with lint, right? Because we filtered it out and it flushes it out. And that cycle goes over and over again, right? Warm up the air with the compressor, blow it in high-speed fan, filter it, condense it in a heat exchanger. That's the sealed system. And then we have humidity sensors in the unit itself that signal and sensor dryer when we're done. So hopefully that's the technical circle of life: warm, wind, water.
You know, everyone talks about, heat pumps, induction, as if it's new. Induction's been around since the 50s. Heat pumps have been around since, the 1990s?
Yeah.
But one thing about all-in-ones is the problem that we have, and we make people acknowledging that when we sell them, is what happens is the lint stays in the machine. So over time, what happens, that lint, you agree, because I get bashed around on the internet all the time, but we do the testing, and over time, if a family of 5 uses an all-in-one, which they never do because it's always one person, it's only a matter of time before the machine just stops. So what have you done specifically to address the lint? Is it just that filter, or is there other systems involved as well?
It's how well it's sealed, but it really is that upfront lint filter. If you think about where would lint go, right? It either goes back on the clothes, it gets baked onto the gasket, which is really ugly, right? Or other folks will try to flush it down the drain pump, and then they're complaining that the drain pump is clogged. But because we have this self-contained system, we actually will catch, you'll notice this mesh side, this catches like your typical dryer lint. Because we're actually gentler and tumbling, we probably generate only about a quarter of the lint that you would see in a standard dryer. So we'll note to the consumer, hey, clean this once a week, once every 5 cycles. But then on the back, this is what's really cool, is like you see in a high-end vacuum, we have this foam filter that picks up all the microparticles, and we keep our heat exchanger extremely clean as a result. And we've done long-term reliability testing. So by keeping this whole system clean and handling the lint up front that the consumer has as part of their process, they're already used to doing with the dryer, clearing it out, it doesn't clog up the system. And that's what's really key. And the rest of the unit is sealed really well.
Is there additional maintenance? I know on every, on most heat pumps, you have to vacuum out the air exchanger. Do you have to do that in this machine?
You have the ability to do it. If you pull out this lint filter, you can actually get like a crevice tool, and you could vacuum the edge of the heat exchanger fins. But quite honestly, we don't see that as a necessity. As long as you're doing the maintenance with the filter, right, you'll be fine. It's not like when you have your HVAC at home. If you clean that air filter out or replace that air filter, consumers aren't going in there and having to clean out the whole system. And that's the intent here.
Okay. Now, the other thing, the heat pumps, and they're so much more efficient. The drying element should go away because they're really just a basic. It's just plugging in a huge hair dryer in the back, sucking the air in, blasting it out. I mean, what do you think the energy's now that utility companies have looked at us as ATM machines? I don't know if you've seen your electric bill. How much money do you think you're going to save with the heat pump versus, say, the old-fashioned drying elements?
Yeah, and that's a great point, because if you think about it, Energy Star and the EPA have really worked hard with the laundry industry to, we've really driven the energy usage of washers down, but the dryer is the culprit, right? That's where most of the energy is used. And a standard electric dryer on a 240 volt, right, with 2 heating coils in there for the high temperature, that is the money suck, right, for that. So because this is 110 and it's a heat pump, this is, like I mentioned earlier, 50% more energy efficient than E-Star. Well, what does that mean, right? So in my household, and I do the typical 300 loads of laundry a year, a standard E-Star washer and dryer, I probably spend about $85 a year on electric for that. With this product, it would be more like $50, right? So there's a significant savings, and it's really from not running the 240 volt standard electric dryer.
Well, a dryer is the second most. It's the second most used electrical in your house. I think you're going to save a lot more because front loads are bigger than top loads and all that goes with it as well. Okay.
The other thing, just to point out on that, just as a follow-up, one is there's the Inflation Reduction Act, and you're going to see incentives for heat pump dryers. This product would qualify for that. So we expect rebates or incentives for consumers to switch to heat pump. So this will be great. And the other part of the energy that I didn't even talk about that we're not capturing is I'm not using your air-conditioned room air, right?
Yeah,
and
that's right.
And sending it out. So there's an energy benefit of your home, which I'm not calculating into that number.
Yeah, most compact washers and dryers now, they emit heat back in your house. Lots of it, lots of heat. So if you're getting a smaller set and it's not heat pump, you're spending a lot more money in air conditioning, no question about it. But the one thing heat pumps do is they they dry at lower temperatures, right? Okay, than a regular dryer. So how long would a complete cycle? They put in, your normal cycle towels, sheets, whatever. How long does that cycle take, versus your 650 washer and 650 dryer? Regular.
Yeah, so it's from a washing standpoint, it's the exact same. This is our ultra fresh washer, right?
Sure.
So what we'll see is, and I don't know if it helps from illustrative purposes, right? So here's a 10-pound mixed load of laundry. It'll wash and dry this in about 2 hours, right? And what I would tell you is, I look at this product, it's a lot like the electric vehicle, right? Electric vehicles, like you mentioned, they've been out since the 90s, right? And so have all-in-ones been out since the early 2000s. And the thing is, they didn't work, right? Why weren't electric vehicles out there? Then somebody actually gets it to where it gives you a level of performance that fits in your home. This is like the Tesla now of all-in-ones with what it can do. The other key drawback on all-in-ones was you could wash a full load of laundry. So this is 4.8 cubic foot, but you could only really dry half that load, right? So they would tell you, well, don't fill it all the way. And they go, well, I bought a large capacity washer and dryer. That sucks, right? Or here's the other one on a no load transfer. Why don't you take half the wet load out and dry the other half? This not only will do that full pound load in about 2 hours, but you can wash and dry a king size comforter. I did mine in about 2.5 hours, right? We had someone on our field testing, right? We said, hey, why don't you wash 4 towels? It should be about 2 hours, 20 minutes. And they go, oh, sorry, I put in 10 towels. They go, what? And they go, it took 3 hours. And we go, that's amazing. On other all-in-ones, it'd still be running today, right? So I think that's the breakthrough is it can handle large loads, but it can handle my daughter's 22-pound loads that she shoves in here, and it will dry them. So that's amazing.
Okay, we talked about you having one. So that's not a complete testing protocol.
No, it's not.
What is your testing protocol? So when people, I know that there's a lot of people very interested in this, myself included.
Sure.
What kind of testing have you done?
So what I'll tell you is the industry hasn't had a wash and dry protocol, right? So we started with, let's test this as a washer. Let's test it as a dryer. We've had those protocols established. So it's gone through those and the industry standards. But then that's what's so revolutionary about the product. Our engineers developed engineering test protocols, hybrid of those two, right? Wash and dry. And we created it. But now we don't have to worry about a conditioned load going into the dryer. It's actually the result of the washing. So we take this through a series of load, whether it's AHAM loads or DOE loads. And we did that in our lab and we demonstrated the type of performance we have. And when we knew we had at a stage, we did the real world testing, right? So we have this in about 24 homes. And that's when we torture test the hell out of it, right? Well, the really cool thing about this, Steve, is this is a connected appliance, right? Mm-hmm. So for our field test folks, we were actually able to monitor the entire cycles with them and see the variety of loads. We actually brought that back to our test protocols and added different types of loads that were deficiently covered in standard wash and test protocols. So we did some work there. I think we'll be adding some benefit to the whole industry when this technology, which is a disruptor now, will become more mainstream.
Yeah, I imagine if you're successful, other companies will follow. But let's talk about smart functionality. You guys are probably, I would consider, the best. Certainly Smart HQ and on the commercial side. But maybe you can show how the washer turns on and talk about some of the smart features. I like smart for laundry because I'm the type of guy that'll go downstairs with 3 minutes and 22 seconds left. What do you do? Do you go back upstairs to go back down, or you just sit there and watch a washer, right? So let's talk about the smart functions, and maybe you can turn the machine on and we can take a look at it.
Yeah, so the first thing I'll show you is in our Smart HQ app, we do a lot to mimic what you see on the user interface, right? So you're going to know what cycle you selected. You can do some basic cycle monitoring, Steve, right? So that's sort of, that's antes into the game. The other one is you're going to get those kind of notifications when the wash cycle ends, when the dry cycle ends. We have a little feature on here called Wash Complete Alert, which will actually say, hey, the wash is done. Do you want to pause it? Maybe you want to pull a couple items out. You can get that notification on your phone. So you definitely have all sort of the baseline features of Smart HQ that we have, which is monitoring of the wash and dry and the notifications. But beyond that, what's really cool are the over-the-air updates, right? So as we develop not just new cycles, but if we improve wash and dry performance, because I'll tell you, when we started out, right, this was 2.5 hours, then it's 2 hours. As we improve that, we'll be able to roll that out. So the product won't just be as good as the day you bought it, but you stay connected with the updates, you're going to get enhancements. And then you got really cool features, right? So this is a learning machine. So it has an adaptive my setting. So if you're the type of person who likes to come in and every time you run a quick cycle, isn't that awesome? That's a 75-minute quick cycle to wash and dry. And that's with an extra rinse. That's my favorite. It knew I did that like 3 times in a row, and it said, I guess that's the way you like to run your quick cycles. I'm going to remember how much detergent you put in and that. So it adapts to that. We also have a smart dispense for detergent. I know the angle doesn't show it well, right? But this is where we can fit 50 ounces of detergent and 32 ounces of softener. What's really cool is on the app, you can actually come in here. And if you like using a bottle, you can actually scan the detergent bottle, because not all detergents are the same. A free and clear might use double the amount of detergent for each load. It adapts to the detergent and the softener as well as the load size. So that's another element of smart. The other thing is there's an adaptive stain guide on here as well. So there are a lot of features that I think will further enhance. The other nice thing is, again, we wanted this simple to use. We know there's some people who are techies like myself who love all these features. And we put some of the high-level features and the help sections in a menu. But what's really cool is if you have someone in your home who says, hey, I want to run a delicate cycle, wash and dry and hit start, boom, you're there, right? Got the door open, I can start it, right? So we try to make it very simple to use because smart shouldn't be complicated. Smart should be user-friendly, and it should adapt to you. And those are the type of features that we have in it.
Yeah, you guys do a great job. I remember a few years back, for those people that don't know, they send updates. And if you've got existing product, you qualify for those updates for a charge. A few years ago, they sent a turkey mode button right before Thanksgiving.
Yes. Yeah,
with the gobble with the gobble bottom thing. But it's great because it's not like you got to pay for releases like software. You get it once you buy it. It's yours forever.
Yeah, last year we actually rolled out air fry technology on our existing platform, and that was a software update. So we actually have some mechanical items built into this product that we know we'll be able to launch with new software updates, new features to users.
Yeah, that's great. You put the dispenser up top on this machine, so at the bottom of your other ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've always had there was a platform years ago where we had the smart detergent in the bottom, and you're essentially fighting gravity. So there are machines that are out there. You could have tendency to clog. So this is all gravity fed, which keeps it very clean and consistent. And it is also cool. I could do a manual dosing in here with detergent, bleach, and fabric softener, or I could fill the tank. So it's where consumers find this the most user-friendly position for it as well. And it's actually technically the most efficient and less prone for errors.
Okay, that was good. And now some of the more gritty questions.
All right. Man.
Okay. All right. Ready? All right.
Fire away.
Everybody's enthusiastic about this, but
yep.
Unfortunately, we have to fix them. We have a service department. So This is from them. This is the one thing about a dryer, although it's old, it works. Dryers are reliable. I mean, most of the time it's the washer that quits before the dryer. But you're adding you're getting rid of that and you're putting an air exchanger and a compressor. So what does the repair look like, 1, 3, 5 years down the run? What's the life expectation of this dryer?
Yeah, so, part of our test protocols, like you referenced before, we do multi-year, like 20-year reliability on our heat pump systems, the heat exchanger, the fan, as well as the components of the motor and the overall suspension system of the washer. So we have our testing. Okay, so everyone has testing. But it's really, the components that are in here have been used in some of our other products. So we have some established history. The key thing that I really think as well differentiates GE and GE Appliances and GE Profile is the easy serviceability of our products. All of our products are front serviceable. So you have this beautiful product and you want to put it in a closet. You don't have to pull it all the way out to repair it if that was what was needed. So it's very simple. You can actually pivot off the control panel, slide a little bit of the top back, and you're accessing that sealed drying system. So we offer 1 year parts and labor warranty on the whole system, but we knew there were going to be questions around the sealed drying system. So we have a 5-year parts warranty on the sealed drying system. And what that is that's the compressor and the heat exchanger. And if you've ever looked underneath your refrigerator, you see these in a heat pump, there's a series of copper tubing with refrigerant. That's all sealed. We're not asking anybody to repair that. If the heat exchanger, the tubing, or the compressor goes bad, you actually can remove that as a system and it can be replaced, all the parts in that first 5 years. Beyond the 5 years, right, those parts could be serviced separately, from a overall cost kind of performance standpoint. But we really believe that with these parts that we've used in our other products, we have a really long-standing history. So we stand behind it. We have the 5-year warranty. And then finally, there's a 10-year warranty on the motor. That's
cool. I like the fact that you made them all, you've made them, independent, so it's easy to fix. If it's the compressor, you can just take it out. That's cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and in the first 5 years, like I said, we're actually doing it as assembly because we're trying to simplify the process, but then longer term, after that 5-year window, they can be serviced separate.
Cool. So what's the price?
So the MSRP on the product is $28.99. So before you get sticker shock, think about it, right? That's the same as a full-size front-load washer and dryer comparably equipped. So you really are getting, a washer, dryer, and you're in half the space. So $28.99. These will be available June 1st is the launch date. And I can tell you, as the product manager, we got the factory working. I know Steve asked before we got on here, so are you making these? Are they here yet? They're here. We're stocking up, and we're getting ready for that June 1st date. So our plan is to have availability, and we're actually starting to take pre-orders. So we're excited about that.
It's funny. I was at a product show. I happened to be standing behind, the president of GE Appliance, Rick Hasselbeck. And I overheard him saying something. This thing better be ready in June. So
yes, no, that
not to put any pressure on you here. Huh?
I'll tell you. There was internally we were shooting for an earlier date, but there were really two things. As the product owner of this, I wanted all that validation testing and consumer testing. We actually just started a second round of consumer sampling and testing out on the West Coast, and so. We're excited to get that feedback, as well as what we've done here in the Midwest. And then as well, we wanted to ramp up with production and then working with, great dealers like Yale Appliance in terms of understanding, does this fit what consumers are looking for, to gauge our demand, to make sure we have the right production levels to be able to hit it out of the gate on June 1st.
How many do you expect to make in a year?
Well, that's the big question mark, right? And it's not an evasive answer, because the challenge for us is, if you told me I was rolling out a new front load washer or front load dryer, I could probably give you a good estimate. What I will tell you is, when this was a twinkle in somebody's eye of a product, we thought this was thousands of units. But based on what we're hearing as a need, we think it's tens of thousands of units. What that number is, it's really going to be, real consumer testing, which is why we have been so thorough in delivering on the promise, because we've seen what's happened with other all-in-ones, right? People bought them, and within a couple of weeks, they're returning them. That is not going to be this product. This product will deliver to the expectations of the consumer, and that's why we spent time in the homework and the research and development and said, we're going to wash and dry a full load of laundry in 2 hours. Not only that, but we're going to do the bigger loads too, because that is real life.
Yeah. For me, it checks every box. That's why I said in the beginning, this is the most exciting product I've ever seen. Not only is it's big, it's a washer, dryer, it's the latest technology that's way better than what we have now. If it works, and I think you've done the best you can there, this could be just a great product for people to buy. And I want to thank you.
I was going to say, Steve, we got a unit coming up your way. So
I know.
You guys are going to have a good month with this before the release comes. So you'll be able. We want you to be back in it because you've tested it yourself. So
yeah, we're going to test it. We're also we're going to test it, but we're going to test it against other heat pumps, which really isn't fair. The Miele's got a 110, but it's just a dryer. Bosch has got a really good 220. LG's got the only thing that's somewhat comparable in the wash tower, but you still have to transfer the washer to dryer. But it's the only other full-size heat pump that's really notable. So we've got all those ready to go. Yours is we got a space for yours. So
all right,
I want to thank you for your time. I know you're under a lot of pressure, and I want to thank you for carving out some time for us.
Hey, no
and thanks again. And man, I wish you the best of luck. This is really inspired.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Otherwise, if you're looking for the best conventional washers and dryers, check out this video about the best front load laundry for 2023. Thank you, Ken, and thanks for watching.